Variations in outer and expanding circle Englishes and inner circle Englishes can also be observed in the way texts are organized in the two kinds of Englishes. The inner circle Englishes show a preference for a very different sort of organizational pattern compared to the outer circle Englishes. The textual organization is very important to structure the information that a speaker or the writer wants to convey. By structuring the information, we mean the writer or the speaker has to decide what information they want to sequence first, what it is that they want to say next, so on and so forth. And this decision regarding the sequencing of information depends on the degree of importance a writer or speaker attaches to a certain piece of information. And it is the structure of information, the sequencing of information, that subsequently determines the grammatical structures or the choices that the writer or speaker makes in terms of grammatical structures. So we see that the organization of the text in the use of language is very important, and we see variation in this kind of organization between the two varieties of English, the outer circle and the inner circle. One difference that we see in the two Englishes is the differences in the use of different linguistic devices for expressing focus and theme. The way you highlight the focus of your language or your text, and you identify the theme of your text, the kind of linguistic devices used for this purpose are very different in the two kinds of Englishes. In the inner circle English, we see that the initial element, the subject, let's say, in an unmarked case, that is in the active voice, is the theme of the text. So the initial element, that is the subject, in an active voice sentence is the theme of the text, and the element which follows the verb is the focus of the text. For example, let's take a look at this question and answer exchange. Where did Sarah go? She went to the beach. So she is the focus, the theme of this utterance, and the beach is the focus of this utterance. But we see a very different kind of structuring pattern in the outer and expanding circle Englishes. Let's take a look at some of these examples. The first one, certain medicine we don't stock in our dispensary. Although if it were a sentence produced by a speaker of from the inner circle countries, it would have been something like, we don't stock certain medicine in our dispensary. But because it is by the user of English from an outer circle country, it says certain medicine we don't stock in our dispensary. Similarly, one subject they pay for $7. Although in an inner circle variety, it would be something like they pay $7 for one subject. And weekend you can spend with your brother, it would be the other way around. You can spend the weekend with your brother. All these examples, these three examples, are from Singaporean and Malaysian English. The first two examples are from Singaporean and Malaysian English. The third example is from Indian English, and the fourth example, my daughter, she's attending the University of Nairobi, is an example from African English. So in all these sentences, we can see that the theme is highlighted by bringing to front an element which is not fronted in inner circle Englishes, and the purpose behind this change is to identify the theme of the text by bringing to the front an element which in an inner circle English will be towards the end or somewhere in the middle. So we see that we find these differences in the discourse patterns of the inner circle and outer circle Englishes.